Sunni insurgents in northern Iraq have carried out summary executions of hundreds of captured soldiers. The UN's human rights chief says, the systematic killings almost certainly amounted to war crimes. According to Navi Pillay, her remarks came as the militants, led by the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, ISIS, were reported to have seized the strategic city of Tel Afar. The rebels occupied several key cities last week, but some towns were retaken. Security in Baghdad has been stepped up after the insurgents threatened to march on the capital. Reports are emerging that an army helicopter has been shot down in fierce clashes near the city of Fallujah, located just 70 kilometers, 45 miles, west of Baghdad. President Barack Obama says the United States is deploying up to 275 military personnel to Iraq to protect American interests there. Ms. Pillay said the UN had evidence from its own human rights monitors in Iraq that non-combatants had been summarily executed over the past 5 days, including members of the security forces who had surrendered or been captured. Her comments came after Sunni militants posted photos online appearing to show fighters massacring Iraqi soldiers. In a video circulated online, ISIS fighters were also seen taunting captured troops with threats of decapitation. The Iraqi military earlier said the pictures were real, but their authenticity has not been independently confirmed. The U.S. condemned them as horrifying. The images appear to show captured Iraqi soldiers in civilian clothes being led away by militants, as the BBC's John Simpson reports. The insurgents' lightning advance began last week with their capture of the cities of Mosul and Tikrit. Fighting in Tel Afar began on Sunday, with mortar shelling of some districts as the militants tried to enter the city in Nineveh province. Tel Afar, which has a mixed Sunni and Shia population, lies between Mosul and the Syrian border. The city of 200,000 people was taken just before dawn on Monday, Mayor Abdul told the Associated Press news agency, but the government insists it still largely controls the town and that ISIS fighters would be swiftly dealt with, says the BBC's Jim Muir in northern Iraq. The government also announced it had regained the initiative against an offensive by Sunni rebels. The Defense Ministry released footage on Monday which it said was of airstrikes on ISIS targets north of Baghdad, including Mosul and Samarra provinces. Footage released by the Iraqi Ministry of Defense is said to show strikes on ISIS targets north of Baghdad. On Sunday, government forces were also reported to be building up in the city of Samarra, north of Baghdad, for a counteroffensive on Tikrit. Iranian cooperation? The U.S. earlier announced it might use drone strikes to halt the ISIS advance. The Pentagon said U.S. officials were also open to holding direct talks with Iran over Iraq, but there was no plan to coordinate military activity between the two countries. Still purporting to show ISIS militants in the Salahuddin province, the 14th of June 2014. Fighters said to be from ISIS are seen in Salahuddin province where they allegedly massacred Iraqi soldiers. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said he would consider cooperation if the U.S. took action. The USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier has already been deployed to the Gulf, accompanied by 2 more warships. But Washington says no U.S. troops will be deployed on the ground. Britain reiterated on Monday that it had no plans for military intervention in Iraq. The U.S. has begun evacuating some diplomatic staff from Baghdad, moving them to Kurdish-controlled territory in the northeast and to Basra in the south. The UN confirmed it had also moved 58 of its personnel from Baghdad to Amman in neighboring Jordan, adding that more relocations were possible. An estimated 500,000 people have been displaced internally as a result of recent fighting in Mosul. The Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, ISIS, has 3,000 to 5,000 fighters, and grew out of an al-Qaeda-linked organization in Iraq. Joined in its offensives by other Sunni militant groups, including Saddam-era officers and soldiers, and disaffected Sunni tribal fighters. ISIS has exploited the standoff between the Iraqi government and the minority Sunni Arab community, which complains that Shia Prime Minister Nouri Maliki is monopolizing power. The organization is led by Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, an obscure figure regarded as a battlefield commander and tactician.